This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
Happy Monday night. We'll get our shit together really quick and kick this thing off. Welcome to the Break the Bell Podcast.
Hello, beautiful bell breakers. We're back and back in my winter hat.
You are. I am still in my winter hat.
Yes.
I haven't really
Yeah.
taken off my winter
That's
hat
true.
because
You
I knew
knew
it
what was coming.
I knew it was.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to last. This is Iowa.
Yes.
The nice weather comes and it's like, no, I'm not. No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not here yet. I'm not gonna switch hats just yet.
It was my naivety, I hoped.
Derek Ambrose is here. He says, "Let's go."
We're ready to go.
We are ready to go. How's it going, everybody out there in podcast land and YouTube land and everywhere else that you're listening from? It's great to be here. It is Monday night. It's our favorite time of the week. At
It
least
is.
mine.
Yes.
I don't know about you. You're flying planes now, so
Well, trying to.
trying to fly
But no,
planes.
I definitely, especially on a Monday. Like, the only thing to look forward to on a Monday is this.
It's true. It's like you got the first day of work. It's like fuck this,
Yeah.
and then it's like, but we get to podcast,
Exactly.
so that's
We
great.
got
So
podcasting.
you all get to look forward to that too. So if you're listening in the future, just know you could be enjoying a Monday night live with us on this program, jumping in the comments, talking shit to us as we talk shit to you, and probably about you because
Yeah.
that's what we do,
And about us.
and about ourselves. But instead, you're listening into the future,
Right.
not getting this in real time,
That's right.
not experiencing this as a family like we would prefer. We want you all here so we can feel the warmth and the love.
Yes.
So if you are listening in the future, make sure try us out live sometime. Just give us a chance. I know you think there are other better things to do on Monday nights, but there's really not.
There's not.
There's
It's
not at all.
It's not Monday. It's not football season.
No, it's even that. There's just nothing to do, less to do on football season. So it is baseball season. I could be watching baseball, but instead I chose to come hang out with y'all. So come hang out with us. Again, we are live every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. And if you want to find us, like I said last week, we have another open slot for a stream. If you want to hear us somewhere else live, like another platform you prefer, hit us up and let me know, and we'll try to get it there because it's just sitting there. It's just like a freebie. I'm paying for 3 slots, and we're only using 2, so I feel like I'm not getting my money's worth. So if you want to watch this somewhere else, definitely hit us up with that platform, and we will do our best to get you there. It is another show, another week, and again, the world is going to shit as
Yes.
usual.
It seems like it just keeps going down.
It's a shitty Monday. The biggest shitty Monday is I'm out of pipe tobacco, so I am stuck using this shitty little vape pen which is not at all the same, and it looks way douchier.
I imagined, like, you had sent a video earlier in the week of a horse without caffeine kicking other horses, and I imagine that's even more so without nicotine.
It can be, yes. I got this for my part-time job because you can't go out to your vehicles on break and stuff, and so I'd get through like 6 hours with no nicotine, which is fine. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I am hooked on nicotine, but I can go 6. But the job pisses me off enough that it's like, y'all would like me better if I got a little nicotine, and I do drink coffee the entire time I'm there too. So, anyway, where was I going? The world going to shit.
Yes.
As usual. This week, I want to talk about what are they called? CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. I had to practice that,
Yeah.
and I still failed. Talking about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and social credit scores, and what's going on in the world right now that is pushing us right towards that Chinese-like social credit system, with the government getting their hands deeper into your shit than they already are.
Yeah.
Which they're already pretty, like, almost elbows deep in our shit.
They are.
So
And
they
that's
want to
still
go
not
full
enough.
shoulder.
They do,
Like, shoulder
yes.
length.
Yeah.
I
They're
picture,
looking
like...
at both fists.
Yeah, two fisting, double fisting, up to the shoulders, which, I mean, I didn't think was possible, but that's what they're striving for. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We got the rollout of the feds now are rolling out their own instant payment infrastructure. It's similar to PayPal, but it's by the government, so
It's gonna suck more.
it's going to be that much shittier, that much less efficient.
Yeah.
And then Biden's has had a few things come out talking about like credit in different ways. One specifically being a social credit system for federal agencies to, like, it's not a social credit score. It's just a scorecard.
Right.
It's not the same thing.
No,
It's a scorecard.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry. And that's just federal agencies. It's not like they don't test run things with federal agencies and then try rolling them out on us or anything like that. So I want to get into that. Probably talk about like the ESG type investment, because that it all applies here. We'll probably even circle back to the Bud Light ad with that Dylan Mulvaney or whatever, her, his, she, her,
Them.
shims, them's name is what it all connects. It does.
Yeah.
And we've talked about like cashless society before. We did a whole episode about cashless society, so it was probably a year or so
that
ago.
seems
So
about right.
go back and listen to that later if you want to learn more about the problems that come with the cashless society. We'll do a little bit of recap after the intro video, but if you want a deeper look at like the cashless society and what comes with that, definitely go back and check out that episode. Make sure you check us out all over social medias. I gotta say this every freaking time, because some of y'all aren't doing it. And some of you are, and that's great, but do it more. Do it harder. Like, share, subscribe, all that happy shit the kids tell you to do these days, so we can get our names out there, and your names, I guess, because your name would be on it. You could attach yourself to something great like us.
Exactly. That would be something.
So you could just piggyback off of our fame. Like when we get famous, you can know that you are attached to that. So because again, at the end of the day, we just want to be famous. That's why we do the show. It's for fame and fortune.
That's why you should get a T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. So share us all over social media. Buy a T-shirt, as he builds so eloquently stated there, some shameless promoting of our shit. You can find links to our social media and our web store at breakthebellpod.com. You can get access to our I Won't Eat Your Bug shirt, which all the shit is headed towards us eating bugs. The social credit scores, the CBDCs, the cashless society, it all points. The end game is us eating bugs.
Yes.
That's
I
where
had
this ends.
Very nice conversation with my wife where I explained the WEF and the Great Reset.
Just
to
now, after 3, we've been doing this 3
I
fucking
know,
years.
I know. Well,
did you say, here, watch this episode?
I
this
try
episode.
to avoid that conversation with her because I know she goes straight black bill. But then someone in church approached me and was talking to me about it, and she was there, and so then I had to just kind of address it with her. And
You should have been like, do you even watch my show?
I know she doesn't.
Well, she should.
She should.
She should, because then she would come home. You
Yeah.
would come home every Monday night and then have to have that conversation with her.
Yes,
And
that
you would hate yourself so
Sounds
much.
horrible.
Yes. Again, the I Won't Eat Your Bug shirt can be found at breakthebellpod.com. Also, We Are Not Your Pawns shirts and some logo merch, some cups, some T-shirts, all that shit can be found at our website, breakthebellpod.com, as well as links to our social media, which you can find us at our handle on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at breakthebellpod, at breakthebellpod. That's the handle. Yeah, so do that. Like, subscribe, share, all the stuff. Derek says, pipe tobacco. Yeah, right. Wait, you're in Iowa. Never mind. Actually, I find very little good pipe tobacco here in Iowa. I found amazing pipe tobacco, which is where I got hooked on it when I lived in North Carolina. There is just
believe
like
that.
really high quality tobacco shops down there, and it's really freaking good. Derek also says Graham isn't going to understand why she can't give me $20 for my birthday without downloading an app here on her phone and paying tax on it. Well, sorry, Graham, that's the way the world is headed. And she's also going to be ostracized from society because she is financing a known terrorist like Derek Ambrose.
Right.
So,
Yes.
I mean, it's a lose-lose situation for her.
It is.
She's paying taxes and she's supporting a known terrorist.
Yep.
So, sorry, Grandma. That's just the way this world is going. Stop giving Derek birthday money, I guess, is the only solution to that. We're gonna get right into this. We keep alluding to it and joking about it. Why don't we just get into it and talk about this new payment system known as FedNow, and then we'll also talk some social credit score shit. So it's gonna be fun. So stick around. We'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What did he say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What'd you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
We're back. There was a weird glitch there. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear
when the
the
music
glitch.
came on, it came on, stopped for a second, and came back on. And I don't know. I think the feds are on to us already.
Probably they're listening.
They're listening because, I mean, their name is right there.
Right.
Now, okay, first of all, I got to point out, I should probably wait because I had a whole thing, but I got to point out, you get a bunch of people, like there's a good chunk of Americans that hear the word Fed and immediately have no trust in it. Well, they trust that they cannot be trusted. That's
Right.
the amount of trust
Yeah.
they have. It's just like Fed boy, Fed, you know, all that shit. So if you roll out this thing that you're expecting everybody to get to the point where they're going to be happy using,
Right.
let's name it
FedNow.
FedNow.
Right. Try
Fed
yelling FedNow
now.
in a Mexican restaurant and see what happens.
Right. Try yelling FedNow in a freaking Trump rally,
Right.
or like a group of libertarians or
Right.
something like that. Yeah, it's not going to go over well. But it's almost like they're in on the joke. It's like, what if we call it FedNow?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
like they're afraid it was gonna happen, but now it's happening, and it's got the Fed all over it. But
Right.
yeah, they'll love this. They'll eat this up.
Yeah.
It's like the bad press. No press is bad press.
Mhm.
Like even bad press is good press because
Right.
people are saying your name. Like,
Right. At least they're talking about it.
yeah, we've said the word Fed now at least 6 times in the last 30 seconds. So
Yeah.
we're talking about it. We're doing them a favor, I guess. So maybe we should start bleeping it out.
Yeah.
So, like I mentioned in the pre-show, we did a whole episode about our concerns about life in a cashless society.
Right.
I don't know if you remember a whole lot about that, like some of the reasoning we came up
Yeah,
with.
I remember quite a bit of it.
Like negative interest rates, that was a big
Right.
thing. Like right now, the banks pay us to keep our money. That's what interest rates
Right.
are. It's like you keep your money here, we'll give you a little bit so we can share it around and stuff. You get a cashless society, now you don't have the option of pulling your money from the bank, especially if it's all like federally owned, like FedNow seems to suggest. So now it's like, now you got to pay us for our services to have your money here, which you don't have a choice,
Right.
but you have. So now we can implement negative interest rates, which is basically you're paying them to keep your
Right,
money.
yeah.
So you think you have $500,000, which nobody here does. I don't. Maybe you do. I don't know. But they take their 5% cut of that, so they're getting $25,000. that right? Yeah, $25,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's under the auspicious well, but you're helping the country, right? Or you're
helping
paying us
yourself.
right. You're paying
helping
us
you
to take care of you.
You're
right?
not helping you're not helping the government. You're helping you, because at the end of the day, we help you, and you're paying us to help you, and you're paying us to keep a close eye on your money for you. That's what that's what that's all about. It's like, oh, but you're paying for the convenience factor. You're paying for the security of it, which that's all a lie.
You know what? One of the dumbest things I think, besides paying income tax, right, which is dumb as it is, right? You have to declare that.
I do declare.
You have to declare money that you get back from them.
I know.
Right? And that's like, okay, so you want me to declare money that I overpaid you that you're giving back to me because I overpaid it?
What is it, like every dollar is taxed like 6 times or something like that?
Yeah.
Because, well, on top of that, like, so a business makes a sale. Somebody paid sales tax on that. Well, then the business pays the tax on the profit from it, or whatever money was made, and then the business turns around and buys parts for that. They pay sales tax on that, and then the business pays the labor, or yourself. They pay like some sort of like employee tax, of their
Social
own
security tax, and
then you get the money and you pay income tax on it, and then you take that money and you buy shit, like you buy food, and you pay sales tax with the food, and whatever money you save up at the end of the day, you die, you pass that on to your kid, and then your kid pays tax on that stuff. So I think the 6 ways taxed is even far-fetched these days. I think it's closer to 9 or 10 times
It's
taxed
ridiculous.
by the time that dollar has completed its cycle, it's been taxed at least 10 times. It's fucking ridiculous. But imagine if the government had his sticky fingers on every transaction.
Yeah.
Like how much? Well, then I guess you wouldn't even need the tax, because they would just take their cut right off the top.
But
They'd just skim right off the
they would
top.
still make you do the tax.
Oh, they'd still. But after,
they would still take their off.
Well, you can't even at that point. You can't even, like, God forbid, scam the federal government out of tax money. They're like, no, bitch, I know what you spent it on. What do you mean you spent this X amount of dollars on gas mileage? No, I know every mile you put on that vehicle, every gallon of gas. I know where you got it, where you put it, and I know that wasn't during work hours, you stupid son of a bitch. I know your work schedule. It's like the privacy issues themselves, I guess, are highly concerning.
Yeah.
Highly, like the ability to track your purchases. We talked about that. And it's just like, well, you bought enough ammo this week.
Right. Yeah.
We're gonna flag you. You bought ammo, and then you bought a subscription to I don't know, Ben Shapiro.
Right.
And then you also I don't know, bought some ginger beard grooming kit. So clearly you're a domestic terrorist. So we're gonna have to cut you off a little bit. And so there's not only the tracking of your purchases, but there's also the turning off of monies, or not even just turning off, but like, well, we noticed that you eat a lot of sugary food,
Right.
so we're going to not let you buy sugar because it's a health concern, or you spent too much money on, or your electricity bill is too high. So if we cut back on the amount you can spend on that, then it can go so much, and it's all about fucking government control.
Right, absolutely.
That's what it is.
You've already gotten your 60 miles for the week, so we're not going to approve any gas purchases until next week.
Right. So let's get. So we're not quite there yet, I want to say, to a digital currency. Derek says you have to legally declare your money from illegal drug deals. I mean, that's fair.
Yes.
I mean, they just want their cut.
Exactly.
That's
they
the
don't
only
care.
That's the only. Yeah, they don't care.
As long as they get their money.
Yeah, just be able to tax the shit out of the drug deals, and all drugs will be illegal. Will be legal immediately. They can't tax your drug transactions right now. That's why they haven't made them legal yet.
Yeah.
So not quite there, supposedly, but we are to this point, like we had mentioned about this what's it called? High speed, quick transaction system,
Right.
like an instant. There you go.
Yeah, like a
Instant-
Venmo
Yeah.
type thing.
It's like we don't already have enough of it. It's like, we need to come up with a thing because it's really slow to freaking like transact money. Like we
Yeah.
don't have any solutions for like instant transactions. It's like, sir, we got Venmo and PayPal, and they throw them out the
Yeah,
the
be like,
building window. It's like, and those companies are probably in bed with them anyway.
fuck
They
yeah.
probably are the ones sitting on the boards developing.
Yeah. Well, because
this
remember,
shit.
PayPal was even talking about like if you're unfavorable or whatever, they were gonna like.
PayPal has shut people
Yeah,
off.
exactly. They were gonna lock you down.
Yeah,
Right. They did that to J6 people.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, why not cut out the middleman though and just
Right. We can do it
put-
better. We're
yeah,
the government.
The government does things so much more efficiently.
Exactly.
But with a private third party solution, sort of like PayPal or Venmo, say I mean, you don't have to do their absolute bidding.
Right.
They're not completely controlling you, and also on top of that, they're semi-controlled by profits of some sort and by the shareholders supposedly. Like, so if you make some stupid policy, which we're finding, I say this is economics 101, but it's becoming less and less relevant, i.e. Bud Light.
Right.
If you make some stupid thing where it's just like, we're going, and they had that test email or that test proposal that you brought up. It's like, if we don't like, if you spread some sort of disinformation or something like that, we're going to take like, what was it, like $2,500 or something? You're going to get fined. And people are like, no, we're not. And people started getting all up in arms over PayPal, and they're like, guys, we're joking. That wasn't supposed to be to the general public. That wasn't real. Somebody accidentally, that was just fake news or something. And we're like, somebody typed that up.
Right. Yeah.
But so a little bit is still controlled by profits. And when the profits start to dip, they come back and they're like, we were just joking, guys. And then there's also other options, supposedly. Like you got Venmo, which is owned by PayPal, so technically you really don't. But there's Apple Pay. There's different payment options, but banks aren't really involved in them, which I think I like better.
Yeah.
I like the fact that my instant pay is separate from my bank, just because I like to compartmentalize my finances.
Right.
So it's like, I'm negative $65 over here. I don't want the bank to know that I have $80 over here, because they're gonna come taking that money. I want to keep those two worlds separate. It's like business and pleasure. I keep them separate from each other. So if I do want to go to a concert, but I'm $65 negative, the bank's not gonna be like, sorry, you can't go to that concert.
Makes sense.
It's a safety net.
It is.
But what happens when the government sets up their own instant payment infrastructure? What could possibly go wrong there?
Right? Because everything the government does works.
First of all, why would you ever use that when you have options like PayPal and Venmo?
But it's like it's like if your wife knows that you have extra money and she just spends it, right? Be like, oh well, I took that to put it towards the schools over here.
Yeah, you owed money. You owed tax. You see it with your income, getting your income tax back, or your tax return. It's just like, yeah, but you also owed money for this, so we went ahead and took it out and paid off your student loan with that.
Right, yes.
So when you're planning on getting like a washer or a dryer, this actually happened to me, and you owe the government money. It's like, sorry, no washer and dryer for you because you owe us money.
Yeah.
And imagine that in real time. Like, not only so they're boasting that this thing is you get your payments in real time. You can pay your employees in real time. You can pay make bank transactions or pay like invoices in real time. But the government can also take your money in real time. You don't have to worry about it happening once a year.
Right.
You have to worry about it happening every fucking day.
Yeah.
Because there are certain companies that have some sort of instant pay type system set up where it's like you work and you can just click a button. Grubhub's that way. You can click a button and get for a couple extras, like an extra quarter or something. You can get that money that day. Well, imagine It's like you just went and worked your ass off for 12 hours, and the government's like, you owe federal student loans. I'm taking that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, shit.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not buying soda today.
And it's like the government can't even pay off their own debts,
well,
right?
that's why they're setting this up.
I know, and that's
so they
the
can grab their
problem.
money
Yes.
more than once a
Yeah.
year. They can grab it
Anytime they want it.
365 days a freaking week.
It's like sharing
Or
a bank
week,
account with the
a year.
junkie.
It's exactly what it is.
Yes.
It's like just leaving
Sorry,
cash
man,
sitting
I
out,
just I had a fix.
leaving your cash in stacks on a table
Yeah.
and being roommates with a freaking drug junkie.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. It's like, oh no, your money will be fine. I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
That's
it's like-
cool.
Fix your damn roads, man.
Right. Well, maybe if they get their money faster
No.
instantly, they can fix the damn roads.
No, they will just send more money to Ukraine.
So what? There's the other thing. Like, banks will eventually start requiring transactions to go through this system, especially the big banks, the federal bank, like the federally guaranteed banks or whatever. They'll start requiring companies to transact through that. I mean,
Yeah.
right now it's seen as an option, but it's not an option. It's not going to be an option. Like, it's all transactions will end up through this somehow. And then there's the question, why even bother with cash? And you'll get to the point where I don't think they're going to just make it seem like they're forcing a CBDC on you, a central bank digital currency on you. It's going to be just rolled out in a way, it's just like where it gets to a convenience point, kind of like debit cards and stuff now, where it's just like, why even bother with cash? And then all of a sudden, you won't even realize it. It's just like, we don't even have dollars anymore.
Right.
Like, dollars went away like 6 years ago.
You didn't
and
even know.
you didn't even know.
Yeah.
And that's why your life sucks right now.
And it's funny because we thought it was going that way when we start seeing the signs saying, "Hey, we don't have change. Try to use your card." because we don't,
during COVID.
Yeah, we don't have exact change right now.
No, well, that's when we did our cashless.
Right. Because that was the first thing that we were like, "What the hell?"
So we might be looking like 2.5 years ago that you got to go back and listen to that episode. So let's get into this FedNow, because the feds are unrolling this new instant pay program called FedNow. It's nothing to not trust about that. So I'm taking this straight from the horse's mouth. This is from federalreserve.gov. It talks about, this was back in March, actually, that this press release came out. Had you heard about this?
No.
Was this a big, big giant press release that we had heard of? No, it just kind of
just slipped in there.
It slid in, and probably like Chinese balloons were flying over or something like that at the time when this
That's
slid in
probably
there.
exactly when it was.
So let me pull this one up. Says Federal Reserve announces July launch for FedNow service. So we're not talking like in the future. We're talking Fed like now. It's
like literally
like now. Says the Federal Reserve announced that the FedNow service will start operating in July and provided details on preparations for launch. The first week of April, the Federal Reserve will begin the formal certification of participants for launch of the new service. So it's happened like a couple weeks ago, actually. Like it's like a test run,
right?
Like a few of the big
It's like the beta test,
Yes.
right? Like, hey, sign up now. You get the extra perks.
Exactly. Early adopters, do you think they get like a T-shirt or something? Like
Probably.
a signed shirt?
Like a little coffee cup
Yeah.
that says FedNow.
There you go. It's, signed by Jerome Powell.
Yeah.
Is it Jerome or Jeremy Powell?
I think it's Jerome.
I don't know. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter.
Fed boy. Early adopters will complete a customer testing and certification program informed by feedback from the FedNow pilot program to prepare for sending live transactions through the system. Certification encompasses a comprehensive testing curriculum with defined expectation for operational readiness and network experience. In June, the Federal Reserve and certified participants will conduct production validation activities to confirm readiness for the July launch. We couldn't be more excited about the forthcoming FedNow launch, which will enable every participating financial institution, the smallest to the largest and from all corners of the country, to offer a modern instant payment solution, because we don't already have modern instant payment solutions. With the launch drawing near, we urge financial institutions and their industry partners to move full steam ahead with preparation to join FedNow service. So now it seems like, hey, sign up to join. Like, it's all voluntarily.
Right.
It's all voluntary.
Just try it out.
Yeah, just try it.
You'll like it.
Yeah. So this was Ken Montgomery, who's the first vice president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston and FedNow program executive. Many early adopters have declared their intent to begin using the service in July, including a diverse mix of financial institutions of all sizes, the largest processors, and the U.S. Treasury, of course. So I like how they keep making sure to point out big and small, come as you are, to, it's like a Dr. Seuss book for the Federal Reserve. It's like
red bank, blue bank.
Yeah, banks come in all shapes and
banks.
sizes.
4.
In addition to preparing early adopters for the July launch, the Federal Reserve continues to engage a range of financial institutions and service providers to complete the testing and certification program and implement the service throughout 2023 and beyond. Montgomery noted that the availability of the service is just beginning, and growing the network of participating financial institutions will be key to increasing the availability of instant payments for consumers and businesses across the country. It says the FedNow service will launch with a robust set of core clearing and settlement functionality and value-added features. More features and enhancements will be added in the future release to continue supporting safety, resilience, and innovation in the industry as the FedNow network expands in the coming years. About FedNow services. So there's all that hype up, and there's one paragraph to say, what is this?
Right.
I'm glad you asked. The Federal Reserve banks are developing the FedNow service to facilitate nationwide reach of instant payment service by financial institution, regardless of size and geographic location, around the clock, every day of the year. Through financial institutions participating in the FedNow service, businesses and individuals will be able to send and receive instant payments at any time of day, and recipients will have full access to funds immediately, giving them greater flexibility to manage their money and make time-sensitive payments. Access will be provided through the Federal Reserve's FedLine network, which serves more than 10,000 financial institutions directly or through their agents. For more information, visit FedNowExplorer.org. That clear things up for you?
No.
It's an instant payment thing where
basically.
you can get your money fast.
Right.
Really
right.
fast. Like
Yeah.
really, really, really fast.
Yeah.
And
Instantaneous.
for banks big and small, any day of the week, 365. It also, again, gives them access to your money
Right. To your bank account.
365 days a week, really, really fast.
And that scares the shit out of me.
It does. Now, imagine you would that, let's say, what's the bank that just had a bank rundown on it?
Oh, the Silicon
Valley
Valley Bank. SVB.
SVB. There you go. Imagine something like that happens.
Yeah.
And there's a risk of, like, some news comes out, and there's a risk of people being like, you know what, I kind of fucking want my money. Before, you didn't have instant access. Now, you won't have any access, probably,
Well,
because they're going to be like, oh, there's a problem here. Click.
Yeah.
No money. Sorry.
Oh, to prevent a what'd she call it? A pandemic of a bank pandemic.
Yeah.
Is that what she called it?
Something like that.
We had to lock down your account to keep it all secure.
Right. I'd read an article that said, like, this instant payment service could potentially exacerbate the bank runs, because before you had that, like, kind of waiting period. Now it's like, well, everybody could get their money instantly, and it's just like, but they also can, with a click of a button, just turn it off and say, no, you don't get your money. And then for the best interest of the banks and everybody involved, we're going to just cut off everybody's money. No pulling your money out. Imagine, if you would, now, if that money also wasn't dollars, but it was CBDC, central bank digital currency, where are you going to take it to? It's not like a dollar that you can just extract it and stick it in your pocket.
Right.
No, it's like, these are only valid here at our banks through our system. So there are no more bank runs, because it's just like, I want my money. They're like, your money?
Yeah.
Bitch, that's my money.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's like earning up points on Minecraft.
Yeah. Right.
And you're like, you know what? I don't want. It's just like, this is Minecraft money. What are you gonna do with it? It's not like you're going to pull it out.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is just fucking Minecraft money.
It's only good in Minecraft world.
Yeah. So,
that's exactly what it is.
and we're gonna get more into it because technically, because everybody's like, all this FedNow stuff, this is just CBDCs being enacted, and they make very strong points in all these articles to point out that no, this is not the same thing as CBDCs.
Right.
Don't worry, this is just a like a high-speed transaction thing, but it's still transaction of dollars. I mean, yes, they are ones and zeros because it is still digital, but you can still pull out dollar bills.
But again, what stops them from, you going to your account and be like, oh, I need to take out 50, and they're like, oh, well, the Fed has decided to convert over all cash to CBCDs or whatever, and so that way it's more secure for you, right?
Yep, for all of us. It's for the good of humanity.
Right.
Derek says, great, not only will I have to check out my own groceries, I'll have to use the CBDC to do it. So going to buy even more sketchy, off-the-wall shit, steak, dog collar, lube. My FBI AI agent will be questioning its will to live after a week. I would make sure to buy the most random shit.
Yeah,
I
right.
already feel like I'm just like, man, if somebody is like watching this transaction right now, it's just like, well, you felt the need to buy toothpaste and fishing lures on the same day. It's like, what are you about to do? And that's it. That's all you bought was toothpaste and fishing lures. The hell's wrong with you? So, yeah, you were saying something about them being able to just cut you off.
Oh, well, I mean, just because it's like, hey, we're taking care of you. We went ahead and converted this over to CBDCs for you.
Yeah, we did it just because, we naturally knew this was where this was headed all this time. You knew it. We knew it.
Right.
You opted in on it without even knowing you opted in on it.
Why mix words?
Yes. I mean, they admit to it like in the future after it happens. Like, oh, we all knew this was coming. It's like, but you said it wasn't. But you knew. You knew. As this my first question, I guess, is who's developing the system?
That's a great question. They haven't even mentioned that.
I looked. I could not find it. There's no clue. No clue who's developing it. No clue who's working on it. Like, did they pull like a Google Maps thing and like they were secretly on the side working with PayPal or something and developing like a weapons grade financial transaction system?
Probably.
Most likely. But no, they're keeping that pretty secret. Probably because they don't want people to be like, what the fuck, PayPal?
Yeah. Well, and that's the biggest thing is, like you said, is the information they give is very, very minimal, and very generic. I mean, if you're going to be handling my money, you kind of got to give a little bit more information.
Yeah. What exactly? Like, you got like a 10,000 page document and you're giving me one paragraph of what this thing does. So this next website, Modern Treasury, comes out and says it like it is. It says it's going to change everything. And for good or bad, probably for bad. This is pointing it out, making it a better thing, like for the better. But this will change everything. Says, let me pull this one up. Says some are calling it the most significant upgrade to the U.S. payment technology in decades. Now, they're making it sound like we are like years behind.
Right.
In the payment game. Like, I've seen several websites say, what the hell just happened? Like, why am I so huge? There we go. Never seen that one. Never clicked that button before. They're like, well, yeah, we're way behind in payments. Like, we should all, like China and Europe, and they already have this shit. It's like, I guess I've never seen the need, maybe because I don't own a business like a corporation or something. I've never seen the need to get my money any faster, except I would like to just like have money.
Right. Well, some money.
Do you know, first of all, if you have the option to get paid instantly every day, how many people are going to become homeless because they're that bad? Like, the people that can't manage their money benefit from getting paid bi-weekly, because it's like you set up your bills on the 1st and the 15th.
Right.
You got your rent on the 1st, you got all your other bills on the 15th, you get paid on the 1st, you get paid on the 15th. Guess what? We got money for bills.
Yeah.
Do you think that money's going to be there for some of these people
No.
on the 1st and the 15th when those bills
No,
come
it's
up?
like payday loans.
They say this is to get rid of help get rid of payday loans. It'll help people not spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on like the interest fees of payday loans. But again, the money's not going to be there when it comes rent time.
Yeah.
And then the government, and then all the private landlords are going to go bankrupt, and then the BlackRocks and the government corporations will buy it all up, make government housing, and then they'll just be able to be like, you know what, you're not good at paying your rent, we'll just take the money out for you. So
I mean, because to be honest, only the government and big corporations really need money to move that fast. Right?
The people that are in on all of this.
Yeah, right. Normal people like you and I who live
Paycheck to paycheck.
paycheck to paycheck. We're good paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. It's probably for the best that you keep
it is
that
better
up.
that way.
We're not great. With the people I'm referring to is myself.
Yes.
Specifically. So it says, some are calling it the most significant upgrade to U.S. payment technology in decades. Later this year, the Federal Reserve is set to launch FedNow, a system that moves money from bank to bank in seconds rather than days. Most banks, when you you put a check in the bank. Again, I'm talking as poor folk.
Right.
I guess maybe not a millionaire can't put a $1 million check in the bank and expect. But the way
he already has that money.
Exactly. The way it works for us is the bank will be like, okay, here's your money. We'll go to the banker that this check is from and get it from them. Don't worry. We'll take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the banks that are like, you know what? We need this money faster because we're getting the money when we intend to get the money. But the banks are like, yeah, but I got to go next door to that bank and get my money from them. It says...
But as of now, remember the good old days where you'd write a check and it would take 3 days.
Yeah, that's
you get
bullshit.
your food and it would take now you use a debit card and it takes it out of your account
Even a
immediately.
check these days, they just
they
have
just slide
that
it through and
photo,
boom,
the
it's out.
scanner thing. And,
Yeah.
that's some bullshit because it's
I
like, how
know.
many times did you write a check
Oh,
for
yeah.
gas,
hoping for
knowing
days.
that it'll be Friday?
Yeah.
You write it on Wednesday, knowing it won't come out till Friday.
Exactly.
You
Many
can't do
times.
that anymore.
I know. That's
like
stupid
the good old
technology.
days are gone,
Yeah.
and it's going to get worse now because
is.
everything's going to be instant. Says the velocity of money. Yeah, say goodbye to which is probably for the best in some cases, but say goodbye to overdrafts. It's like, well, I know this is going to come out tomorrow, but I can go ahead and buy the soda today. And they're like, now they're going to be like, nope, we take it all now.
Right, yeah.
The velocity of money is changing. But there are still lingering questions. What will this mean for enterprises? And what should they be doing right now today to prepare? Real-time payments are not entirely new. Countries across the globe, including Brazil, Singapore, and several European nations, have banking products that allow businesses and consumers to exchange money instantly. In the United States, the Clearinghouse, or ACH, you know ACH, a consortium of the country's largest banks has offered banks a product it calls real-time payments, or RTP, since the end of 2017. But only a fraction of the nation's financial institutions participate in it. Now, that's concerning to me, that statement right there. It's like, well, all these big banks, the ones that got together that told the feds to create this high-speed thing in the first place, they already have an instant payment thing called the RTP, real-time payments. But only a fraction of banks are participating in it. So if this is a strictly voluntary thing that they are claiming it to be, who's to say only a fraction of the nation's financial institutions will participate in that?
Right. You're right.
The fact that they pointed that out tells me that you're not going to have a fucking option.
Right.
It's like, if you want to be part of the Federal Reserve, you want to get the Federal Reserve monies backed by the Federal Reserve, you have to participate in this FedNow system. Otherwise, why would they put that in there? Because it's not like this is going to be more enticing for banks.
Well,
it's still a real-time payment system. It's just now it's ran by the feds, not the banks.
And as you say that, I remember back when Silicon Valley like crashed, right? And they were like, "Oh well, we're not going to be able to insure this money." And then they came up with this plan where, oh, okay, well, we're going to take it from different accounts. Well, now with the speed that they can move money around, they could do it and you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah, in real time.
Right? If
Real time.
if they're participating in it, yeah, they can transfer that money over, and then hopefully your money comes back due and they can shift it back over. You won't even know.
Says, yet a system blessed by the country's central bank will be different. The Fed is really
Blessed.
trying.
Did it say blessed?
Blessed by the country. So ominous. We sign off on it. The Fed is really trying to play a supporting role that helps smaller financial institutions in their capability of providing real-time payments to their constituents, ultimately supporting fast payment ubiquity, says C.C. Northrup of Glenbrook Partners, a payment consulting firm. If financial institutions of all sizes sign up as expected, it will dramatically change the world of financial transactions. Now, there's an issue here, because remember this, they're talking about helping smaller financial institutions in their capability of providing real-time payments. So helping the little guy.
Right.
Like the big people can handle it.
Yeah.
But we want the little people on board too. They keep bringing that up.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me, and I'll get to that in a second. It says, gradual acceptance. If history is any guide, FedNow's impact is likely to be felt gradually rather than all at once. The U.S. What the hell was that? Did you see my screen flicker?
Yeah.
The U.S. has more than 10,000 financial institutions, which explains, in part, the challenge that the clearinghouse has had in recruiting banks outside its member groups to adopt the RTP product. Again, if you're not planning, because right now they're saying it's pretty low percentage of getting people on board with this. If you're not planning to implement this, like as a directive, like you will do this, then you're going to have the same fucking problem. They said it right there, but somehow it's going to be different because the Fed signed off on it.
Right.
But Whistler is among those bullish about what the FedNow rollout means for real-time payments, generally in the U.S., and says the two systems will coexist. The Federal Reserve has a prominent voice in the U.S. payment system and among financial institutions. If FedNow succeeds, we succeed because more people will see and experience money moving faster. Then it talks about the widespread impact of real-time payments.
Why does money need to move faster? That's what I don't get. Why does it need to move faster?
Because the world is moving faster, Bill, and we need our money to move with it.
Okay, but I don't move that fast.
Back in my day, how many back in my days do we need in this?
Yeah, right.
Corporate practitioners will start to understand that they can pay timely and not need to pay 3 days in advance. Okay.
But we don't do that now.
I don't know. The visibility of cash coming in and out will change. What is happening? I think this site is fucking with my page.
It probably is.
The visibility of cash coming in and out will change. She says, allowing for more advantageous money management. Instant payments will mean that companies can hold on to their cash longer, which can make a difference, especially at a time of rising interest rates. With our RTP, a business can actually fund their payroll provider the same day or the day before, rather than it sitting in someone else's account waiting to be paid out. So I guess you can hold your cash three extra days.
Yeah.
Instead of like posting it
again,
on a Wednesday to pay on Friday.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense.
Maybe we just don't play up here at that level.
I guess
And
we
no.
don't play at the high stakes table.
I guess if like $100 million of payroll could sit in an interest making account for 2 extra days,
It doesn't make interest in 2 days though, typically, unless it's a lot of money.
Like I said, $100 million.
I
bro.
guess nobody I know deals in that kind of money.
I don't either. If you're out there listening to this and you deal in that kind of money,
yeah, please
let us
enlighten
know.
us.
Let us know how big of a difference, like how much of a game changer this
And
is.
are you hiring? No.
There are also opportunities in data handling capabilities built into both FedNow and RTP. What is fucking going on?
It is. Your computer is screwing with you.
It is flickering like crazy, and
It's
I
the
don't know
feds.
why. It is. With real-time payments, business can operate in a more efficient way and know they can rely on the numbers they're using to make decisions and share with investors. All right, scrolling down. getting ready for FedNow instant payments, because it talks about happy employees and healthier businesses first.
That sounds important.
Yeah, you'll be much happier because you'll still get your money. Getting ready, this is the part I want to point out. Getting ready for FedNow instant payments. To fully benefit from FedNow, businesses will have to embrace technological, organizational, and cultural shifts. It's a completely new system, Aaron says of FedNow. Companies will have to revamp back-end systems and reimagine operations as they seek to capitalize on the efficiencies real-time payments offer and embrace new ways of enhancing customer satisfaction. What does that sound like?
It sounds like a mess.
Sounds like spending a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, to
Like-
get your system set up to do this.
Completely revamping back-end systems. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if they aren't aware of how small businesses that they're hoping to benefit from this, how they work, but having to completely revamp your back-end system is a deal breaker sometimes for many times for small businesses.
Yeah.
Look at it in terms of like COVID-19.
Yes.
You've got the large corporations that are either set up to that their platforms already work that way, their infrastructure's already there, or B, they have the capital to do so, to implement it. And then you had small businesses that didn't have the capital or the infrastructure, and what happened to them?
Yeah.
They fucking shut down.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to these small town banks like the ones that we deal with a lot of times around here when the government comes in? It's like, to keep operating the way you are and be up to par with our system, you got to completely undo your whole network and redo it.
That and the fact that, I mean, how many times you implement something and then you have bugs in the system for years.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember there was a customer, I don't remember the name of it, but they did like money delivery out in Davenport.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to change he had to change all their computers, and they had issues for like a month after that.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was part of that. I believe they're probably still having issues.
Probably. So, I mean, that's just, and like you said, for a small business, that's a deal breaker, right?
Right. Well, then what happens? Because we talked about this, about the banks crashing, the small banks crashing. What happens? Consolidation to the big banks. Like, people are going to have to take, especially when it becomes a CBDC, I mean, they're going to have to bank somewhere.
Right. Someone that can handle the load.
Yeah. So Chase, Morgan, Stanley, whatever their names are, like the Wells Fargos, a lot more consolidation of the banking system, a lot more of the market shrinking. It's not benefiting the smaller banks; it's crushing the little banks.
And it kind of made me nervous because after you and I had kind of talked about like what we're talking about tonight, I got a phone call from my bank, and they're like, "Hey, just want to let you know we're running a promotion that if you open a new savings account, you can earn up to 5% interest in the next 12 months, and you just got to put $1,000 into the account to get it started."
It's like,
right? Well, and that's what I'm thinking. It's like, okay, with all this going on, okay, you need like something to get it started. You need my money to get in there, and then that way you're going to play with it.
Yeah,
right.
Probably to pay for this new system that they're running. It's like, everybody throw $1,000 in this. We're going to pool our money together so we can pay for this FedNow back-end system that we really need to cover. Yeah, it's just like how many 3-branch banks have you serviced in this area that can't even afford to upgrade their camera system from 1986.
Right.
You think they're going to be able to afford? It's like, well, something's wrong with our camera system. Yeah, it's fucking 30 years old. That's what's wrong with it. Yeah. Well, can you fix it? I was like, yeah, we can limp it along, or you could upgrade it for only a couple $1,000.
To modern technology.
Nope, can't afford that. What do you think? Do you think they're going to be able to afford this system, especially when it comes down to like, we're forcing you to do this at a small price of like $500,000 or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
No, they're going to be
call customers and be like, "Hey, we're starting a new pilot program, and we just need $1,000."
Or calling customers like, "Oh, it's been nice doing service with you the last 30 years. Sorry, we're closing our doors." That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like we sold out to Chase Morgan.
Right. Yeah.
That's what happens. We saw it in COVID, how many small businesses shut down and how many Walmarts probably opened in that time. How big did the market share of Amazon gain in that time?
Yeah.
You think Amazon's on board with this whole payment system?
Fuck yeah.
They're going to be like,
They're
no
probably
more
help-
paying with
help me-
PayPal.
Yeah, exactly. They're probably partly funding it.
Probably. Oh. The other thing is, obviously now the government is going to have more of their grubby fingers again,
Right.
all in our shit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the things to be concerned about beside, like, on top of that. I've got an article from MSN. Let's see, is anything going to load tonight? Because this addresses people's concerns.
Okay.
It points out some of the concerns. It says the Jossie, I don't know who that is.
I don't
It
know
says the Fed's latest upgrade will have law-abiding citizens saying "Yikes." There's a nice picture of your favorite
Oh my
Janet Yellen.
gosh.
I mean, she's looking hot these days.
Yeah, she is.
She's looking gorgeous. Let me get rid of some of these tabs so they don't slow down my shit. Payment infrastructures usually don't compete with trans controversies or mass shootings for public attention, but FedNow has achieved cultural flashpoint status. Although popular rhetoric about the program is misleading, the dangers are real and align with a broader corporatist push by the government and major corporations to control Americans' financial lives. So this one's kind of a two-sided article because it's
Okay.
like, no, guys, this isn't CBDCs. We want to point that out to begin with. But there could potentially be problems that we should probably address. Says Democratic presidential candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. stoked FedNow fire by tweeting it was a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. First of all, was you aware that RFK Jr. had filled out paperwork to run for president?
I did not know that.
I may, for the first time in my life, end up voting Democrat.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a guy that is just blasted all over everything as the biggest conspiracy theorist since Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
But
like
so is he running as Democrat?
Yeah,
Because that means he has
he's
to run
running as
against Biden.
Well, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, RFK Jr. is running as a Democrat.
Very interesting.
Tell us what you think about that. Like, I don't know a lot about the man except that
Yeah.
everybody blasts him as being like an anti-vaxxer.
Well,
Which
look
that's
at the
enough.
family he came from.
Yeah. The odds that he's still alive is don't get on any fucking planes.
Right. Or go through any kitchens.
Right.
Stay away from Dallas.
Yeah, no shit. But I don't know. That might be enough for
Yeah.
me to vote Democrat.
That's very
just to see
interesting
where
to
this
me.
goes.
Yeah.
I mean, what are our options? Donald Trump?
Right.
I don't know who's on the friggin' libertarian list
I don't
these
know.
days, but I don't know. This guy might be something.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to this. So he had tweeted out that this was them implementing CBDCs, which, when tied to a digital ID system and social credit score, will allow the government to freeze your assets or limit your spending to approved vendors if you fail to comply with arbitrary diktats, i.e. vaccine mandates. That was the tweet from RFK
Okay.
Jr.
Interesting.
So this article goes on to point out FedNow is not a CBDC. Just so you
Yeah.
know. It's not. It's not a
Yeah.
currency.
Right.
It's a government-run payment system that operates continuously and competes with existing private options. CBDCs are a dystopian form of currency. I like how they say this is to make you sound like you're crazy for thinking that they're not pushing for this when everybody is pushing for this. It says they're a dystopian form of currency that are liabilities of control and controlled through central banks. The distinction, however, does not mean FedNow lacks risk of privacy and industry consolidation that augurs on Orwellian financial future. The Federal Reserve greenlit FedNow in 2019. It will launch this year. Fed board members justify it by citing days-long wait times for checks and other transactions to clear or settle. This especially harms the poor, who lost over $100 billion through payday loans and overdraft fees in 2010s. FedNow allows people to bypass these noxious maladies via instant settlement. So far, so good. Again, what we're talking about, you get your money right now instead of taking out a payday loan. Yet the government could have achieved similar results years ago by now. All right, first of all, my brain got to thinking.
Yeah.
Because one of the things they're promoting this is as corporations don't have to put out their payroll 3 days in advance and have it sit and hold for 3 days. They can just put it out immediately. But on the other hand, they're saying employees can get their money immediately any time of the. But then the employee can't sit on that cash for the now they're having to fork out the money.
And as you read that statement, my mind goes somewhere else.
Where does your mind go? It's dirty, isn't it?
It is
it's
very dirty.
fucking dirty.
It is. So, because I had also sent you that article, and I'm sure we'll get to it later, about the interest or the people with credit having to pay that fee, right?
Yeah.
So basically, a bill catered to lower people that can't afford, right? Well, now they're catering to people that may be on collecting some kind of disability, some kind of, right? So now they can get their money whenever they want, right? Then you don't need food stamps now because you get your federal money when you ask for it, right? And so that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to cater to that population that needs that money, right? Keep them away from payday, because we know that payday loans are predatory. And we know that they do target a certain class of people. Well, now they don't need to use those, right? So those, right. So I mean, those companies will go out of business because the government will now be able to supplement that.
Yeah. It's all just consolidation of everything.
It's equity.
Oh, obviously.
And it puts the government.
But what does that do for the small business if they are touting and it's like, well, you don't got to wait till payday now to get your payment, but then you have a small business like, well, I don't technically I don't have that money to give you until Friday.
Well, and that's a lot of it with the small business, right? I mean, it's like, well, I'm waiting for these checks to clear on this day, so
well, you don't have to wait for that now,
right?
Because it's instant.
They're already there.
But you still are waiting for a payment of a customer, or hey, I got bills due today and tomorrow and this day, so you get your we'll make sure the money's there Friday, for instance. It's like, no, bitch, I want my money now. It's like, well, I can't afford that. But the FedNow promised me my money would be there now, so I don't have to take out a payday loan. Give me my money now. And then the company's like, well, it looks like we're all shit out of luck. More that's going to put small businesses out, because you got to imagine if the small banks have to upend their whole back end system, the companies making those payments have to go through, because we have like the ACH processing programs and stuff. We're going to have to do some sort of back end modification to our systems to work with this too. So that's all going to put a strain now on small businesses as well as the small banks. So how many businesses is this going to fucking shut down before it becomes a benefit to society?
If you don't adapt, you're done, right? If you can't keep up with the speed of the way the money's moving around now, you're finished.
Before, I mean, that's kind of getting the way things are with technology. It's like, well, sorry, your system kind of sucks and it's not going to work now these days, but you still get companies that kind of chug along on old technology. It's just like, well, this has worked. It's still working. We can keep this going until we can't. But with systems like this, it's like, no, you don't have the option of chugging along on your outdated ACH system. You're not going to be able to pay in paychecks, or like, you have to implement this. And if you can't, well, I don't know, is the government going to come in and give out some sort of like kind of PPP type loan? Are we going to like help small businesses to where it's just like, well, now you got to pay us back. We'll just take it out of your instant payment, though. We'll just take a percentage.
And does this? I mean, because they pushed this email through in March, right? I mean, which kind of coincided with the time that Saudi Arabia announced that they were going to switch to more of a digital currency. So is this so that America can kind of keep up with the global markets? I mean, that's almost what it sounds like.
It's to create a global market is what it is.
Well, yeah.
It's to get us, because probably the same people that are creating every single central bank. It's a fucking central bank. They all work through, all the central banks of all the countries work together.
Right.
They're all part of the same.
Right.
So if you get this central bank digital currency here, it's going to, I mean, it's all to create this one currency situation, this WEF style globalist society, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. That's the end game in all of this.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to make it so it's hard to transition to a one globe society.
Right. This makes it easier.
Yeah, they're going to design it so all they got to do is be like, click, oh, we're all together now, guys, yay!
Right.
I mean, that's what this is leading to. I want to get before I get in because I want to shift focus after the break. To talk about the credit score stuff, but I want to get into this. This was a conversation that on the Glenn Beck show, talking a little bit more about this because again, we saw that they're like every website I read was pretty much like, no guys, this isn't a CBDC. This is something totally different. I don't know why your panties are in a bunch. And one of the things that cracked me up was this Associated Press article. It was kind of like a fact check because it says. The claim, the Federal Reserve is launching a digital currency app, FedNow, that will eliminate physical cash. The facts. Talks about FedNow is a service that has been in the works since 2019 and will launch in July. In recent days, they talk about JFK or RFK's stuff, but it says FedNow has nothing to do with replacing cash. It is an upgrade to the decades-old payment system, said Aaron Klein, senior fellow in economic studies at Brookings Institution. It does go on to say on down that the Fed is separately researching. I did it again. God, I keep clicking wrong buttons. The Fed is separately researching the potential to issue a digital currency, commonly referred to CBDCs. Don't worry, this is not a CBDC.
Yeah.
That's a separate project they're
Right,
working
yeah.
on.
That isn't tied to this, but maybe.
So why are we talking about CBDCs when they're not actually CBDCs? Well, because this isn't a CBDC. Like I said, I wanted to hit this Glenn Beck conversation here.
Okay.
It's the platform that CBDCs will be on.
Right.
So what they say is it's what did they? I can't think of how they put it. Anyway, we'll probably read it. What?
It's creating like an infrastructure.
Yeah, it's an
for it.
infrastructure. It's like CBDCs are water, and this is like the water pipes that they're piping to all
Right.
your homes. So yeah, this is the infrastructure. Exactly, this is the infrastructure for CBDCs to flow through. Derek says, will the CBDC shut down when the Fed government shuts down because they can't approve their budget? God,
Probably.
I hope
Probably.
so. That would be freaking amazing, and the world would go into chaos, and riots would break out, and all that stuff. So this is, again, just God, I cannot click the right button to save my life tonight.
Maniac tonight.
I am. Explain how the Fed's FedNow program will end in a CBDC. I just want to read a little bit about from this. This was just a conversation he was having.
Was that
with,
today?
This came out March 27th,
okay.
so back when they were first talking about it.
Gotcha.
So this is a conversation with Justin Haskins, a co-author of their new book, Dark Future. Haskins explains how, despite the Federal Reserve may say this new service is not an alternative to central bank digital currency, rather it's a giant stepping stone towards it. I'm just going to read a little bit. It says, I got to get down to where they actually start talking because they bullshit for a few minutes.
I was going to say.
Let's see. It says it's a new service for all banks, which will make the transfer of funds, whether you're out shopping or you're a business owner or you're doing bank-to-bank transactions. You just run everything through the Federal Reserve and it will happen fast. It says, yeah, isn't that exciting? It says, came up with a great analogy. This is like a drug dealer because he says, it says very exciting. Now they're claiming that this is an alternative. This is the alternative to CBDC. So they're not saying this isn't a CBDC. This is a better alternative, which is central bank digital currency. It doesn't really sound like much of an alternative as much as a system to run that on, like we said. Justin says, yeah, basically this is like, he says, this is like the drug dealer who is new on the block, and he will not just start injecting people with heroin. That's not how you sell drugs. That's not how you do it. First, you get them hooked. You have to give them a little taste, and then after they get a little taste, they're hooked. Then you can really start pushing the hard stuff. That's what this is all about. The Federal Reserve is basically a drug pusher, and this is the start of it. Normally, regular folks like you and me and people in the audience, we don't interact with the Fed. We're not used to that. We don't like the Fed. We don't trust them very much, and so what they want to say is just have a little taste. You'll see it'll be great. This is a stepping stone to a CBDC. This is our first interaction to using the Fed directly. So then we become more comfortable with it, so it's normalized, and then after this, you'll get a central bank digital currency. We already know this because there's billion government reports talking about how they'll design it and what it'll look like. Why should people use it? What the principle should be behind it, all that kind of stuff. So we know a CBDC is coming. This is just the first step in that process to try to normalize people interacting directly with the Fed in this sort of high-tech instant transfer payment portal. So we've been talking about the Uniform Commercial Code. This is where it gets interesting. Apparently, it says it's usually nothing anyone should ever have to think about. However, they're including central bank digital currency as a new definition of money in this universal or uniform commercial code. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but it's interesting. Money makes us think of money. You can transfer or you can take it from the bank that you own it. You get paid. You get to do what you want with it. But CBDC is not real money. Says what's happening in more than 20 states across the country right now, and it's going to happen in all 50 states eventually, is lawmakers are looking at updating the Uniform Commercial Code so that a foundation is being laid for a future central bank digital currency. And not just any kind of CBDC, but a central bank digital currency that is programmable and trackable. That you won't have any privacy with the things you're doing with the CBDC, that it can be controlled and manipulated. This kind of thing is being manipulated into the code. They don't use the word CBDC, but they outlined it in such a way that that's what it has. That has to be what they're talking about. So it's not creating the CBDC. That's not what it's aiming to do. It's just laying the foundation to make it easier to use it in certain kind of commercial transactions. So again, creating the infrastructure, like you said. So people know, and this is what you really have to understand. This is not like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is such a danger because what you do with it, because you get to do with it what you want to, and the Federal Reserve is not aware of anything and can't do anything. You have to ultimately you have ultimate power with your money. The opposite is true with FedCoin, that they will be introducing, and this is what makes it dangerous. Not just the tracking. So we talk about the tracking and shit, but they get into how it's specifically programmable, meaning programmable for the individual. So in other words, if the government decides that they're going to, we need to cut down on fatties, he says, then my digital coin will not allow me to buy fatty foods. I wouldn't be able to go to McDonald's. I'm using this as an example. There's not anything in the works to do this, except that is what programmable means. They can program it. So if they say, you know what, nobody's going to work, they're not an essential employee, your coin will not buy gas to get you to work. So you can go try to fill up, but when you put your digital code in the Fed, it will say denied, and you won't have any way other than that card to be able to buy what you need. It's absolute control of your life. And there actually have been statements that have been made by the Biden administration itself, where it is said, as part of reports studying CBDCs and the benefits and how it will be designed. If they were to make a CBDC, even though they haven't committed to doing that exactly, they have done all the groundwork for it. They've said it flat out that a CBDC needs to account for climate change. It needs to have financial inclusions built into it. It needs to have equity built into it, what you were talking about. It needs to have concerns about pollution. They have worked with hundreds of stakeholders, and we all know what that means, nonprofit groups and labor organizations and others. To help design CBDCs, it says, so why are they doing all that? Because it's going to be programmed so you can use it certain ways so that it can be prohibited in other ways. And it can change on a dime. That's the other important thing. When it's programmable, they can change the rules whenever they want. It's not as though they set the rules at the beginning. and that's the rules forever. They can change the rules as they go. That's the threat of programmable currency. It's a huge threat to liberty. I think we get the kind of the point here, but we had talked about a few things at the beginning, like say you want to do a bank run. You have the CBDC. You can't do it. You can't pull your money out of the bank because they get into the point. It's like you don't own this money. They own this money, and they're just kind of letting you use it. They're letting you transact with it. And it's interesting because this kind of goes back to the you'll own nothing and be happy or whatever.
Right.
Because you don't even own your own money. It's just like, fuck that. I'm going to own stuff. I'm going to go buy shit just to prove that I can buy. No, you won't, because you won't even own your own money. We allow you to transact in these. It's kind of like
you live in my house. You're going to follow my rules.
Yeah, it's like earning points. It's like a point system.
Yeah.
It's like,
Okay.
especially once we'll get into the social credit stuff. Once you get into that, it's like you earn points. Like right now, you earn points for doing your job.
Right.
Like it's pretty much digital currency now, and it's fiat currency, which means it's not real anyway.
Right.
But you earn points for doing good work, for working hard, for working more, whatever. You earn points. But at the moment, you don't necessarily, unless it's through like going to jail and like earning fines and shit, you don't really lose points for doing bad things.
Right.
With CBDCs, it's like, you know what? We didn't like that you did a burnout in your car and polluted a little bit. We're going to dock some points from you.
Yeah.
Or you didn't spend enough time today exercising. We're going to dock some points for you. It's fucking Black Mirror is what it is.
Absolutely.
The show Black Mirror. I think it's the second episode where they're like on the pedal bike earning points so they could go get an apple.
Yeah.
And they watch so many like porn videos or porn ads so they can earn points. But if they spend too much time not doing something, it's like their points start to go down. I mean, there's so much to this that can just really fuck everything up. Like, for example, let's say, like right now, if the economy is doing bad or good, they can try to manipulate it through raising and lowering interest rates. So get people to spend more money, get people to spend less money through raising and lowering interest rates. Imagine if they had 100% control and could manipulate your money. Well, let's say, for example, they put, I don't know, like an expiration date on your money. First of all, you're not going to hoard money under the couch sofa anymore. And second of all, like say the economy's not doing so good. Instead of sending you a stimulus check to buy more, to get you to go buy more shit, they can be like, well, we're going to pull down the expiration date on this. So now instead of a month to spend X amount of dollars, now you have 2 weeks, and it's like, oh, I better go out and spend this money, or it's going to go, like, say it just like gradually degrades in value.
Right.
Like, well, if you keep it past this X amount of time, it devalues itself over time. So you're going to want to spend it faster. And if the economy's not doing so good and people aren't wanting to buy, it's like you turn down that timeline. So it's just like now you either go out and spend it or you're not going to fucking have it. Then you just worked for nothing. So, I mean, you could manipulate the economy that way. I mean, there's so many things that they could do with this CBDC.
And like I think it was an example used at the beginning, with the interest rate, where they can change the interest rate much easier on the money. So it's either going to be worth more or worth less depending on what's going on.
Well, yeah, it's just like, well, money, your X teen amount of like Fed coins, that could get you this amount, but now it's like, I don't know. There's just so much. There's so much to this beyond just like, well, they're not going to let us buy guns anymore, which is concerning to me.
Well, yeah.
But also the fact that they have now 100% control, not only of what you buy, but when you buy it, how you buy it,
and how much of it.
How much of it. Like, your money could be worth this today, but it could be gone tomorrow because it had expiring timeline.
They would just want to prove the sell.
Yeah.
So, and going back to WEF stuff and having nothing and liking it.
Right.
I was talking to my wife, and I think we've talked about it before. Is it's going to get to a point where you either comply, move into their smart cities, and have their technology. Right?
Yeah.
Or you're out on your own in the wilderness and you got to fend for yourself. Well, now it's okay. Well, if you're not moving in here, well, then your money is no longer yours.
Right.
Right. So,
let's get into break. We're way overdue break. And then I want to come back. I want to talk more about the social credit system and then wrap it all up. We'll have to go quick through the social credit stuff. But we spent a lot of time on that, but that was the main thing I wanted to talk about anyway. So
and it's interesting to me that they're like, hey, we're going to run this alongside private entities because
no, they won't.
I was going to say, because think about the other industry the government runs alongside private industry, the post office, right? And it's a fucking joke.
Well, yeah, it's just like none of this. Well, just imagine, you talked about the bugs. Imagine like the crashes that'll happen in the first week that this thing rolls out, and people. And you're not talking like, oh, my computer service didn't work. No, you're talking like nobody has money and money can't flow.
Right. Yeah.
Like it just doesn't flow. It doesn't.
Yeah, it just stops.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, it's okay. We'll give you some government bills to you know, get you through. Right.
So let's get into break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna shift topics just a little bit, and we'll bring it back though. We're gonna take 3 or 4 minutes, and when we come back, we're gonna keep talking about this Fed Boy shit show. So don't go anywhere.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net.
And we're back. You know, it's like, besides the fact that it's so much shittier, like vaping versus smoking a pipe.
Yeah.
It's like, part of me is like the habitual process, like the lighting and I like shit. So, like, usually I hit the button and I like grab my pipe and lighting it. And like 3 or 4 times I've like grabbed this and like I reached for something else, but it's like there's nothing to reach for.
The biggest problem is no one's gonna believe me that I've been at your house. Usually I come home and the kids will be like, "You smell like Craig's house. You smell like smoking bacon."
Smoke
and now I'm
and
coming.
Bacon?
Yes, that's what they say. Your house smells like it's smoking bacon.
Why bacon?
I don't know. That's what they say. So I'm gonna
Maybe
come home smelling like berries. It's
Yeah,
gonna get
your
me in
wife.
some trouble.
Yeah, your wife's gonna think.
Like, where the hell were you?
Where were you?
I was at Craig's. I promise.
Well, I guess I would be entertained by that. Let me know how that goes. So we're talking about CBDCs. It's not as cool as it sounds. Sounds like a CBD gummy or something.
That's what I was thinking, yes.
Central bank digital currencies. We're talking about the FedNow, like the Fed version of PayPal, so you know it's going to be like super efficient and super high speed and like top notch.
Like the post office, right? Never miss a
Absolutely.
beat.
Yeah, it's like, why don't they fix the agencies they have?
Right, exactly. Before you move on to new stuff.
Now they came out with faster payment task force is what it was called. Like they had a task force specifically to study
makes
this.
It sound cooler.
Yeah. Faster payment task force to like figure this shit out back in like 2018 or something. And I was just like, oh, okay, dollars going to good use there. So we talked about like the problems with central bank digital currencies, the problems getting rid of cash society, the fact that they can turn us on or turn us off whenever they want to, regulate everything that you spend. Your money is not yours.
Right.
It is theirs, and they allow you to use their
Right.
as a point system. It's like a social score system. Because that's what this ultimately leads to, is a social credit score, and which is obviously better for the environment because it teaches you to spend not pollute.
Yeah, it teaches you to be a responsible citizen.
Teaches you to like treat people like equally, not be an asshole, not join cults or not to like be a racist and shit, because you lose points for being a racist.
Yeah, go figure.
Go figure, I guess. So, shifting topics away from that, kind of into the credit score realm, Biden has made several decisions involving like credit as of recently. And the first one isn't necessarily social credit score, but it kind of applies to the equity thing that and you had kind of brought it up. Biden is raising the cost for home buyers with good credit to help risky buyers. Now, does this sound like a terrible idea to you?
Yes, it's the definition of insanity.
It's like, well, these guys got bad credit, so they're having a hard time getting a loan. And these guys have good credit, and it's way too easy to get a loan because banks trust them way too much. So let's make it harder for the people with the good credit and easier for the people with the bad credit.
Because they pay their bills because they have good credit, right? So we'll just raise their interest rates. Right, and then
they can afford it.
Give the people with poor credit their money.
My daughter said something that sounds similar to this logic here, because we were talking about, I was just joking around. Don't call me a terrible dad, because I am. I already know it. My son said something about, because it was dinner time and my daughter hadn't come out yet because she's a teenager and they take 10 times longer to do shit.
Me, I know.
And it's like, hey, come to dinner. She doesn't come right that second. And my son's like, well, let's just let Peyton starve. And I was like, what did I say? I was like, she's not going to starve anytime soon, is all I said. And obviously sounded like an asshole. It kind of was, but just to get her, she's like, just like, I can't believe you said that. You said it. And I was like, none of us are about to starve.
Right.
She's like, well, actually, fat people will die of starvation faster than skinny people. I was like, why? Why do you say that? She's like, because skinny people already are used to being hungry. Like people in Africa are used to being hungry, so they won't starve as fast. I was like, that's not how this works. I was like, fat people have extra to to digest before you start. She's like, oh.
Did you ever see Castaway?
That's what this reminds me of. It's like, well, the people with the low credit, we need to trust them more and like make it easier. That's the whole fucking point of a credit system. Trust me, I know I have low credit, but it's like, I would like it to be easier to get a loan too, but I understand not trusting somebody with shitty payment history over somebody.
But look at, I mean, going back to, remember the subprime mortgage problem in 2008? And that's where this whole came
is creating.
From. Exactly. And that makes me think, a conspiracy theory alert, Obama, his first renowned job was an organizer for Acorn, who was the big pushers for subprime mortgage loans, and here we are looking at doing subprime mortgage loans subsidized by people with good credit.
Yeah, but now, it's not the banks that are in the government subsidizing. It's you that, not you, because...
Right. No, I don't have good credit either.
Good credit people, the people that, pay their bills on time, that have a little extra money in the bank.
Right.
Yeah, they will pay it. It's the whole equity shit that we're talking about.
Exactly.
Derek says, right at the same time as you, the loan program sounds like the 2008 financial crisis all over again. Except now, not only are we making it, like, pushing it along to where these people that can't pay their bills are getting loans that they can't pay for, but also we're making it harder for the people that we're okay in 2008 that like saved a little extra money because we're taking some of their
Right,
money
yeah,
and throwing it at it. So
That's
now,
dick move.
yeah. So now, not only is it going to be shitty for the poor people, but it's going to be bad for
Yeah.
the not so poor.
I mean,
people.
you know how hard it is. Like, I just bought a house in July, and you know how hard it is to get your credit to a level that is even looked at by people to be like, oh yeah, well, this works.
I want to know what that's like.
Okay, it sucks. It sucks because you have to pay off a bunch of shit, and then they look at every dollar that goes into your bank account and they analyze like where it came from to make sure you're not doing something.
Well, now they're not even going to have to ask you because, like Derek and his grandma, they're going to know that grandma gave you that $20.
That's true.
And they already taxed it nine
that's
times.
right.
So now we don't have to go through that whole process of them asking you where everything comes from. They're just going to be like, oh, it says, oh yeah, from your grandma. Yeah, that. I mean, what you spent? Oh, you spent that on a. Oh, you spent that on a freaking that movie.
Yeah. Oof.
Well, that I mean, score goes down a little bit
Yeah,
there.
right. Just for.
Whoa, you got some issues, bro.
Yeah.
Let's get into this. Biden raising the cost for home buyers with good credit to help risky borrowers. Home buyers with good credit scores will soon face higher mortgage fees as Biden administration seeks to close the racial home ownership gap.
I'm glad they threw that in there.
Yes.
Right? Because obviously minorities have horrible credit.
Right.
Right? They just come out of the womb with bad credit.
I mean, who is the racist here?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly.
Like, well, you guys got bad credit, so we're going to have to help you along. And get more first-time and low-income buyers through the door, kind of like 2008. A new federal rule could raise the monthly mortgage payment of buyers with good credit scores by over $60 a month. That doesn't sound like much, but still, over a 30-year span,
Yeah.
that's I'm not even going to do that math. But it adds up.
It adds up.
Excuse me. While riskier borrowers... I'm shocked. While riskier borrowers will get more favorable terms because their fees will be reduced. Starting in May, the current structure of loan level price adjustment matrix will be upended by the Federal Housing Finance Agency in hope of addressing housing affordability challenges in the U.S. But there have been complaints that the rule change is unfair and potentially ineffective. Gee, no way. In the short term, this may increase home ownership among the targeted group, but I'm afraid it would decrease home ownership among the middle class. I think they're okay with that.
Right.
I'm not sure that we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul here. Only about 25% of home buyers with Federal Housing Administration loans are people of color, according to the White House. Black and Hispanic people on average have fewer savings to use as down payment on a home and tend to have lower credit scores, according to Stevens. The people, like, I can speak from experience without being racist. Those people with low credit scores, there is a reason they have low credit scores. There is a reason why I have a low credit score.
Right.
It's because I was really bad at making payments back in my earlier days, and I'm paying for it now. Now, I do think that the credit system should be easier to maybe rebuild.
Yeah,
or like a shorter period to rebuild it.
Mm-hmm.
But to just say, you got a terrible credit score, we're going to make it easier for you to get a loan. No, make it easier to rebuild your credit. So people actually have to start making like good decisions, but it pays off sooner for those good decisions instead of, I mean, because it actually isn't beneficial to your credit if you're like, look, I've got $5,000 in a collection agency. If you just take $5,000 and pay it off, it doesn't help your credit score.
Yeah, it doesn't go away.
Even though you made a responsible decision to throw a bunch of money at that. No, they want to see a payment history. Well, we didn't see a payment history from that. We just saw this. You probably just got $5,000 from grandma and paid that off. That doesn't show that you have.
Right.
No, make it easier to rebuild credit, not easier for terrible credit people to get the loans.
Yeah. Because what are they going to do with the loans once they get it, right? I mean, are they going to be able to keep it up?
Right. Derek says, I hope you can add notes to the transactions like you can on Venmo or the memo field in the checks. I'll label every auto tax deduction as sexual favors. Might just label every transaction that way. A funny story, I use Venmo very little, but sometimes I send my sister-in-law just money for things. She'll do something, or she'll pick up something for my wife, and my wife will be like, "Hey, can you Venmo my sister this money?" Every freaking time I put, because it's public, like all her friends can see it, but I'll put like ransom payment, or don't hurt my children, or drug money, or something like that. And
That's awesome.
Yes, I make sure to make a point of that, mostly to.
And Derek, you have a
entertain
comment
myself.
there. It says it's okay. The government will buy out the loans and own even more land while paying pennies on the dollar. You're absolutely right.
Hey, we talked about that with the PPP loans.
Yeah.
Waiting for that to be exactly that.
Yeah.
It says, in order for the FHFA to close the gap by bringing down LLPAs for those borrowers, the agency will compensate for the reduction in borrower fees by raising the LLPAs of borrowers with higher credit scores who tend to be white. The average credit score. So they're just saying like black people just don't have good credit.
They're not
they don't own
responsible
homes.
people.
Yeah.
You know.
The average credit score in the white communities was 727 in 2021,
That's
compared
amazing.
to 667 in Hispanic and 627 in black communities. Man, those probably all got me beat.
I was going to say, those
Most
are really good.
Yeah. According to data analyzed by FinMasters, a personal finance blog. The effort to get more low-income Americans and Americans of color into home ownership is essentially being subsidized by borrowers who have better credit scores and can contribute to their own or to their down payment, says Michael Bordinsky, a vice president at Caliber Home Loans. Bordinsky said that while the plan was designed to help people who have historically faced obstacles to home ownership, it comes at the cost of negatively affecting buyers who worked hard to save enough money for a larger down payment and maintain a strong credit rating, especially since those buyers can be of all demographics. That guy was quick to point out, hey, black people make their payments too sometimes.
Right.
Shocking, I know.
Right?
Little did we know that there are some black people
They
that
try to be responsible sometimes.
and some Mexicans too.
Right?
He says this rule unfairly penalizes Americans for having good credit and rewards those who accrue debt and don't pay their bills with cheaper loans. I mean, we don't have to read on to know how stupid this is. How freaking stupid
and
this
how
is.
how one-sided it is, how unfair it is. You know, I mean, it's hard for most people are not with good credit are not born with millions of dollars, right? They have to make good decisions.
I mean, there are some.
There are some, but I mean, if it wasn't for my wife, I mean, I'd probably be living, you know, in a trash can. But she's responsible, fortunately, and you know.
And so you don't live in a trash can.
Not
so
yet.
leveling the playing field is what what they're doing here.
Yes.
You think this is leveling the playing field?
No, not
well,
at all.
it's I mean, it's the whole WEF style. Like
Yes.
instead, we've talked about millions of times with the WEF. It's not equity for them. Isn't bringing the lower people up to this level. It's bringing the upper people down. So we're all down here eating bugs.
Yeah. So
that's
but it's most likely the middle class, right? Because the rich people, the elites, it's not going to bother them.
Right.
Right?
Obviously.
It's the people that are just barely making it. And as I was mentioning to you, I think over break, when you take this and you tie it into just how astronomical property taxes have been this year, I mean, it's insane how much it is. Our house assessment, the value has gone up 22%.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Your house?
Our house.
You've been there a year.
I know, less than a year.
22%
Yeah.
in
So
less than a year.
our house a year ago today, assessed at $189,000. We bought the house for $220,000 in July, and now the county is assessing our house at $231,000.
Good God.
Yeah, it's insane.
That is, I don't know.
But it's every house. I mean, they're doing it across the board in every state.
Well, I feel like a part of this is kind of like, we'll get into, I feel like they're intentionally trying to crash the banks.
I think so too.
To implement this CBDC. I think they're intentionally trying to crash the housing market again
think so, too.
to probably implement some sort of government-controlled
Yes.
housing. I think that's what, what Derek had mentioned about the government buying out the loans, and then buying all the land, owning all the land.
Right.
You'll own nothing, and you will be happy. That's the end game. Get rid of all the private.
Right. Exactly.
Private equity out there.
Yeah, they own all the resources.
So we got to move on. pass this, but let's look at another thing signed as an executive order by Biden just recently.
And that's how he's doing all this.
Well, yeah, that's all this. All this shit is. This executive order is basically what this article says: creating a template for the social credit system. Because as I mentioned in the intro, the pre-show, is pretty much implementing a social credit system for federal agencies. So it's kind of like a trial run on the federal agencies,
as they do.
Yeah. So this is from Rogue Review. It says President Joe Biden signed a radical executive order to enforce environmental and social justice for federal agencies on Friday. The order enacts federal scorecards that will assess the social and environmental impact of government actions and hold agencies accountable for promoting so-called equity. The order establishes a White House Office of Environmental Justice, headed by a federal chief environmental justice officer who will oversee environmental justice goals. That's a lot of environmental justice in one sentence. But they created a department,
right,
with a head, a chief environmental justice officer. The order says it will focus on ensuring that lower-income people and minorities are not subjected to disproportionate environmental harms, especially those stemming from a legacy of racial discrimination, including redlining. I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
The order will require agencies to notify nearby communities in the event of a release of toxic substances from a federal facility and directs agencies to address gaps in science, data, and research related to environmental justice.
Does that sound like Ohio?
Yeah. Well, it's like if your agency isn't doing these things, you're going to get lower on the scorecard. If your agency is promoting these things, like say, for example, the federal agency known as like the Housing and like whatever that housing department was that came up with that stupid bullshit
right,
that we just read about.
Yeah.
If they didn't come up with that, maybe they get a lower score. And they're like, who can come up with the dumbest plan that impacts the
housing market?
Yeah, but
yeah.
And they're like the dumbest plan, but it's got ESG written all over it. You get a higher scorecard, and we'll grant you more money for your federal agency.
Yeah,
That's how
you're right.
that sounds.
So so it says part of this process included segregating marginalized communities into urban housing projects so that white families could move into new suburban developments. Segregation of housing stock became known as redlining and continues to reinforce unjust living conditions for minority residents nationwide.
Gotcha. So getting rid of that, I guess. The executive order charges federal agencies with conducting new assessments of their environmental justice efforts and developing, implementing, and periodically updating an environmental justice strategic plan. These environmental justice strategic plans and assessments will be submitted to the White House Council on Environmental Quality and made public on a regular basis, including through the Environmental Justice Scorecard, a new government-wide assessment of federal agencies' efforts to advance environmental justice. The notion of scorecards is concerning for many conservatives, just conservatives, not the rest of us.
The liberals don't care.
Who argue that this move could be seen as the Biden administration setting the stage for a social credit system. It's not could be. That's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what ESG is. That's exactly what all this is about, is a social credit system.
Yeah.
So that could target individuals for not holding the same values as the ruling regime. Yeah, because what you think is social justice isn't the same as what the next guy thinks is
That's
social
a good
justice.
point. Right.
It's who makes that rule up. Well, it's whoever's in charge at this time, whoever's getting the financial backing from the mega corporations that are profiting immensely from this.
Well, and again, that brings up a good point, because say the current regime goes out of power and say Trump comes in, right? And now there's an ESG program. I mean, could you imagine Trump in charge of his idea of...
No.
Exactly.
No. So that was the far right's concerns.
Yeah.
Some opponents on the far left have also argued that agencies will feel pressure to prioritize such social justice concerns in order to receive favorable scores, rather than focusing on the bottom line and the country's overall well-being. First of all, since when did the left care about prioritizing the bottom line?
Yeah.
Since when has the government ever
prioritize
the bottom line.
It makes me think that they have a different definition of the bottom line.
Right. But so isn't that already happening in the private sector though?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about, the government's not going to be concerned about the bottom line, and they're not going to do things efficiently. They're just going to be concerned about. It's kind of like the No Child Left Behind Act, where we took all these standardized tests, and the schools that did great on the tests got more money from the government. But in the end, the kids weren't learning dick. They were just being taught how to take standardized tests or being pushed through so the schools could make the money.
Right.
They weren't getting a proper education. And we're still
They're
dealing with that shit today.
You're right.
That's the government's way.
Yeah.
It's a scorecard. It's a standardized test for these agencies.
Right.
Well, they're just going to check all the boxes that apply, and they're not.
Whatever it takes to check those boxes.
Yeah, and how much money is going to be spent wisely.
Right.
But like I said, this is already happening in the private sector. Case in point, Bud Light. Bud Light said to half or probably 90% of its constituents, I guess you could call them, its fan base, its market, screw you, we are going this route. We are going this. We're going this environmental friendly, not the social friendly, social justice, woke, whatever you want to call it, ESG, the environmental social governance type investing. That's what we're doing. We don't care. The bottom line, screw the bottom line. This is the direction we're going. And then their profit tanked from it. But do they care? Probably not. I mean, this has been happening.
They released that lady that pushed that.
Yeah, but it's, again, like a trial run
But then they
thing.
got sued.
Yeah,
They're being sued for being, what is it, for like racial and misogynistic.
This last article I want to read, I don't know if you've heard this. This talked about the go woke type companies. It's like this pressure from mega corporations like Vanguards, the BlackRocks and stuff to push this ESG investment, or else, pretty much, or else you're just not going to survive as a company. And that's actually why this is all happening. It's not a company that's like, you know what, we really care about the trans community.
Right.
I mean, we've been selling to rednecks in Ohio for our entire existence.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ohio. But now we all of a sudden have this great concern for the trans community.
Yeah.
And it's not like, like I even thought for a while there, 'cause you remember back when he signed Colin Kaepernick? We're like, why the hell would they know there's going to be pushback, but there was almost seemed like there was more profit in being the woke, like more people would buy you because you supported Colin Kaepernick or whatever, the Neil movement and stuff. Well, now it's becoming evident that it's not even for the profit, like the social, like this status that gains profitability. Now they don't even care about the profits of it.
Yeah.
It's this
social.
It's a social mafia is what it is.
Yeah.
That's like pressuring them to do their bidding or else. It's an or else scenario.
Good way to phrase it. Yeah.
City folk don't have any opportunities and are feeling oppressed. Move to the country. You can have no opportunities out here in the middle of nowhere. I would prefer that, actually.
Right.
So I want to get into this New York Post article because I heard this on another podcast and it applies so freaking well to what we're talking about. It's titled "Go Woke or Lose Bonuses. CEOs are forced into Dylan Mulvaney deal systems." So we know Dylan Mulvaney was the trans person on the Bud Light can.
The Bud Light spokesperson.
Yes. Says woke. And I have that
Face of the
freaking term.
Cardinals.
Shut up. Woke, three-letter alphabet soup policies like ESG and CEI, which are supposedly based on ethical investing and are why major American corporations are handing out lucrative endorsements to fringe celebrities like transgender performer Dylan Mulvaney sound wonky. But one corporate analyst gave a succinct summation. You can think about ESG, again, the environmental, social, governance type investment. You can think of ESG as an attempt to sort of bring critical race theory to the private sector. And like some universities and high schools where parents and administrators have fought back against the critical race theory being embedded in curriculum, America's big corporations aren't necessarily as eager to sign on to the LGBTQ plus climate or anti-racist policies as you might think. Despite the recent rash of endorsements by Nike, Bud Light, Kate Spade, and transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. The most controversial of those, by Bud Light, has wiped $5 billion off the parent company Anheuser-Busch value since March 31st. So you're talking 25 days ago. As it deals with the fallout from conservatives over its brand endorsement of the 26-year-old transgender TikTok and Instagram star. The Post revealed Saturday how companies strive to perceive a perfect corporate equality index score. So that's a scorecard.
Right.
It's not a government scorecard. It's a supposedly private. It's from LGBTQ lobby group, the Human Rights Campaign. So the CEI is this Human Rights Campaign. They put out the score, and apparently this is like a trophy that you you got to do good on this, or they will rain down hellfire on you. It says, I need to get more into this Human Rights Campaign. It says, so it's a score from the pro-LGBTQ lobby group Human Rights Campaign to comply with progressive policies espoused by the world's biggest asset funds, pushing them into branding deals like the one with Mulvaney. American corporations are being strong-armed into policies they don't always agree with by influential nonprofit activist groups acting in concert with powerful fund managers, according to Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
They name BlackRock, Vanguard, and Street Corporation, which earn up to 5% of most U.S. companies, as the ones doing the strong arming. So it's not just this activist group.
Yeah.
It's this activist group that is basically the activist arm of BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street Corp. You know, like major investors in all the corporations.
Right. Yeah.
That if you decide, so this is how it works. It's like, well, you need to invest in, like, you need to hire Dylan Mulvaney as a spokesperson, and the higher ups at Bud Light are like, no, I don't agree with that. Our fan base or whatever doesn't agree with that. Well, BlackRock, who invests heavily in your company, say to 5%, says, we'll just pull our funding out from you. We'll just get rid of our stocks from you. Well, now it looks like, because it's such a high percent in your company, it looks like you're not meeting the approval of the stakeholders of your company, and then you can get axed as the CEO because you're not doing the bidding of the stakeholders, even though it's just one or two companies, but they hold so much. And we did a whole episode about how much control over all America, like the BlackRocks and the Vanguards, and like how you can't even have any sort of opposition anymore because
they control the boards.
Yeah, go back and listen to that episode too. Another one that ties into this. Says BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, among others, has been mentioned by ESG opponents as instrumental in pressure campaigns, which they say are not in the interest of companies or the pension fund members whose savings Fink and others invest. The big asset companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street Bank are shareholders of almost every Fortune 500 company, and if they vote for a policy, CEOs who do not comply open themselves up to potential legal issues because it looks as if they are not acting in the best interest of shareholders. You talked about legal actions towards Bud Light, probably coming from that. It's like, you know, you're not acting in the interest of the shareholders, so we're going to sue you now.
This guy's a Republican.
Is that Fink?
This Vivek Ramaswamy.
Well, yeah, they said a Republican presidential candidate.
Yeah, who runs. He's a venture capitalist and Woke Inc. author.
Yeah, he's like totally against woke shit. So says it's a protection racket. Ramaswamy told the Post Wednesday. If company executives don't go along with it, they could see their compensation cut or bonuses disappear, and the chance of further investment from the big funds could go away. So you could just lose all that freaking money, which is most likely going into pension funds.
Right.
And then the people that work in those corporations are going to pissy because their pension funds go away. So, I mean, it's a racket. It's a fucking racket. It's all a control thing. When Ramaswamy was executive chairman of his anti-woke asset management firm Strive, he wrote letters to the boards of Apple and Chevron recommending they decline to adopt ESG agendas which involve racial equity and climate policies. He called the agenda farce and said they would not benefit shareholders. Each company appeared to agree with Ramaswamy's advice, but then walked their plans back and ended up voting in favor of ESG proposals under pressure from the activists who pushed them. The sequence of events about their boards agreeing, but then reversing course was not in relation to my letters. It says it was in relation to shareholder proposals put up by nonprofit organizations. The boards initially opposed them until BlackRock and State Street supported them and voted in favor of them, after which Apple and Chevron each shifted course. That's the freaking power that these companies have over all of Americans right now.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to push this agenda. It's like, no, we're not. This is our company. We're frozen, I think. Are you frozen?
I am. You're not.
Okay. And we're back. But again, we talked about all this shit a year or so ago.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but Anheuser-Busch is being sued by America First Legal for discriminating against white people.
What?
Yeah.
For discriminating against white people.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
all right. Anyways, so
what do you do when your balls are being held by these corporations?
Well, that's what we had said back a year or so ago when
Yeah.
we talked about these corporations. Like, they have the voting power to basically run
Do whatever they want.
do whatever they want in any of the companies everywhere. And again, it's like, well, is it to like crash these companies? Is it to like what's the game plan here?
Well, I mean, it's a way to have a monopoly without having a monopoly.
Well, yeah, it's
You
like
know, I
voting
mean,
power. So
you own controlling stock in 65% of the companies in the country. You know, probably more than that even.
Probably more, yeah. So back to like the Biden executive order, I was going to come up with the scorecard, and this is just a step towards. No, we already have that in the private sector through the Vanguards and through the BlackRocks and all.
And let's be honest, they own stock in the president too.
Yeah,
Right?
they own the government.
Yeah.
Because we talked about how they have so much voting power, but they also put politicians in place to benefit
make sure this
them.
thing goes. Yeah.
Like, we don't need the Chinese style, like the government, like the corporations pretty much own our government. So it's the whole corporatocracy that will be that the WEF wants.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's where this goes.
Yeah.
It's all about, it's not about freaking like making the environment better. It's not about making equal. It's about freaking control. That's what the CBDCs are about. It's not about making faster transactions. It's about controlling your lives. Control, like, the CBDCs are to implement the social credit system. The social credit system is to overtly control your life in everything you do in your life and make sure that you're compliant to everything they say. It's
And
like,
it's not about saving the environment, and it's not about equity or racial justice. It's about controlling your life.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And they just use that as their great intentions, right?
Right. Where does this go, Bill?
Nowhere good.
Like, China's already working on their CBDC, and they already have like 80% of the country falls under their own social credit system. It's like, you do something bad, you lose points. You do something good, you gain points. And they're going to implement their own central bank digital currency, which will just, because they already have some, like, they have it where, like, if you do something unfavorable or like lose trust is what they call it. Like, you can't go eat at certain restaurants. You can't go on flights for like small infractions.
Yeah.
It's like, how much easier would it be to control the populace if you can just be like, well, you just don't get this money.
Right.
You just don't get those dollars.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't apply for these colleges, right?
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of colleges, that was another thing. Like, if you didn't get like a certain score, like 100% on that that social justice score that they were talking that one activist group put out, certain universities would pretty much talk shit about your company and say that you're like bigoted and racist and this and that if you didn't get 100% on that because you weren't implementing X policy, or you weren't promoting that freaking Dylan Mulvaney kid, then you're a racist, bigoted. So the younger kids coming up already sees your company as this horrible place to work. And if you got 100%, you got the coveted tag of like, it was like best workplace best LGBTQ environmental friendly environment or something like that. You got like, and people like are plastering this on their website as like a badge of honor.
I mean, could you imagine like Googling your company and say your company is, I don't know,
Bud Light.
Well, Bud Light, right? But and say like you've gone the other way from Dylan Mulvaney, right?
Right.
All of a sudden, like a little red tag pops up and says, "Warning: these guys are
bigots."
Right, they're bigots, or they're not economic or ecologically friendly, or something, And so then, be like, oh shit, I don't want anything to do with them, right?
Yeah, we don't need the government to implement the social credit system when
the
people that own the country are already doing it.
It's coming from both sides.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's they're making sure they have all their bases covered.
Oh yeah, so we got to implement the digital currency. So I mean, the social credit score doesn't do a whole lot if you could still just go on about spending your money the way you want to.
Right.
So we got to take control of the money. You take control of the money, you take control of the population, and we can cause them to do our bidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trade goods and services. That's what this comes down to. Like, learn a skill. Learn how to plant tomatoes.
Yes.
Get some chickens and grow eggs in them.
Yes.
That's what, I mean, the only way around this is going to be going back to old school trades.
It really is.
Trading system, barter and trading.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, it's coming. It is. They say, oh, this FedNow. No, it's not don't worry, it's not a CBDC. Yeah. It's just the inner structure for it so we can make it happen when we do want to.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry.
Yeah. We're not doing it yet.
Yeah. We're just paving the road for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just making it possible, making it easier.
Yeah. And like
it's going to come.
They're going to slip it in there, right? You're going to start using it and get used to the convenience of it, the speed of it, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're there.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, and it's not like overnight they're going to be like, oh, you said this bad. You said the word faggot today?
Right.
We're going to cut. No, it's like we're going to get used to the convenience of the FedNow system and how quick and fast we can transfer our dollars without even realizing it. They switch us over to the digital currency. They call it, but they probably still call it dollars just so we don't even notice. Right. And then all of a sudden, then they break it slowly to us. Hey, guess what? You've been on the CBDC this whole time. It's like, oh, this wasn't all that bad after all.
I guess I have what like Patriot Act. Well, I guess if I'm not doing anything wrong, I got nothing to worry about, right?
And even that they play the rules kind of loose. It's like, you know, I've done this for years this way, and they haven't called me out on it. Then all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, we've noticed you've been doing this for years. Let's start doing it. And then they just like, bam, just like drop.
Like, my account's negative.
Yeah, what happened?
Well.
But I've been doing it that way for years. Oh, well, we're gonna have to take money out from, back pay for us.
Yeah.
You know, it's like kind of the COVID policies. It's like, they hatched away, and finally we're to this point where it's like, what do we have anymore? What rights do we have anymore?
Well, and it's they're gonna hit those around you too, right? Because it's like if it doesn't affect you, they'll be like, well, your brother's account had gone negative, so we had to draw from your account. Right. So you might want to talk to him about getting in line. Right.
Yeah. Or kind of like 1984, where like they had the children like rat out their parents and stuff like that.
Yeah. Right.
Derek says my social credit score is going to wretch my entire family score. I can't wait. You know, that does bring up a good point. It's like, are you guilty by association? Like, oh, you you were hanging out, like you were here.
Oh, absolutely.
Hanging out with this
Yeah.
person, and this person has like a 3
Yeah.
social credit score. Well, that's going to dock you shouldn't be associating with 3s when you're a 5.
Yeah.
So you want to hang out with the 3s, we're going to bring you down to a 3.
Your kid in school. Wow, your parents are a 3?
Yeah. Well, you might want to do something.
We're gonna have to drop
maybe
you
they
from
give
the team.
Maybe they give you a warning, like you were saying, like to you better get that person in line, or yours is going to go down too, or stop associating with them.
Right.
And give you like a couple days, and it's just like, oh shit, you need to get your stuff together, or it's gonna affect me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this whole thing is,
It's fucked.
It
We're
is.
fucked.
yeah. We're what, like, how many years away?
Yeah.
7 to 2030?
I'm going 7.
At
Yeah.
least,
Yeah.
at most 7 years away from this all just being a major. I hope we're still podcasting in 2030. 'Cause
I hope
want to
so,
be
too.
like, I told
Yeah,
you so.
right.
And that's the last.
From
and
our
we-
bunker on the ham radio.
Yes. And then we like get shut down.
Yeah, right.
That's going to be our final sign off is
I told you.
I told you so.
Yeah.
I told you so.
Yep.
So learn a skill, I guess. Learn how to trade. Like we talk about learning skills, being self-sufficient,
Yeah.
networking with like-minded people.
Yeah. Maybe can you do some like day training with like the Amish?
The Amish are going to
They're
well,
gonna
I don't
thrive.
know, because the Amish trade in dollars and stuff.
Yeah.
And the Amish love our processed food at gas stations too, I found out.
No, they do.
Oh, they eat a ton of it. They come
Huh.
in all the time and
I'm
eat
a little
tons.
disappointed in that.
I know, I'm surprised.
Huh.
They don't like electricity, but they love the processed food. But they only transact in cash.
Right.
So they will be screwed.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they have their own Amish, but they have enough skills
I
and
was gonna
stuff
say,
that
they'll
they
figure
can,
out a
they
way.
can form a
Yeah,
bartering
yeah.
system, no problem.
We'll have to. We'll have to figure that out.
Derek says, wonder how many points the winning political party will dock you for voting for the losing political party.
That's a
I
great
was
point.
actually, that was one of the things I was thinking when I was looking this up. It's like, they're probably going to find out like who you voted for, how you voted for, and you're going to get docked points for voting for the wrong party. And you don't want to get docked points for voting for the wrong party, so you better vote for the right party.
Right.
And that's how democracy just gets obliterated. But it still looks like democracy.
Yeah. Right.
It's kind of like how it is now.
Basically.
Looks like democracy.
Yeah.
It's called democracy. Well, but I mean, it's nowhere near democracy at that point. I installed internet at an Amish store last year. It was so weird. Says Derek
would be
Ambrose.
really
That I don't understand that, but it's like the Amish people that make the nice fireplace frames
Yes.
for your electric fireplace. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. The Amish, man. Did you ever see that Breaking Amish show or whatever?
Jen used to watch that.
Oh, that
yeah.
was so bad. So, any final thoughts of this? Is there a happy light at the end of the tunnel?
You know, like you said, learn how to do things old school and, just be prepared to go ghost.
Buy
because-
local.
Yeah.
Stop buying from these corporations.
Exactly.
That are
Support the
being
local.
Yeah, support the local. Support the small banks, I
Yeah.
guess, if there are still some. Support the small mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
Keep those alive
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're
Whatever it
going
takes.
away. They're going
Yeah.
away. fast.
It's like It's a Wonderful Life. When Old Man Potter buys out the town, you're fucked.
Yep, and Old Man Potter is coming for his.
Yeah, he's
for
buying a
town.
lot right now.
He's buying the town. That's all I got for this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Another happy one.
another headache, massive headache. You had actually sent me both of those.
Yeah, my sister sent them to me before church, and I don't usually look at those, and for some reason I did, and I was like, oh, shit, I need to send that to Craig.
And I was like, oh, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
So, are we going to partake in this Fed Boy PayPal system?
No, fuck no.
Is there a way around it? Can you
For
run
now
a
there is.
business and work? Will businesses, like at a personal level, we can trade and barter.
Right.
But what about a business? Can a business survive with like somehow? Because they're going to be transacting with like
Right.
corporations, like supply lines
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And the supply lines are going to be controlled by the,
Right.
the Fed
Yeah.
Boy PayPal.
Yeah, because both of our businesses get money from bigger corporations.
Get money from them. They get supplies from
Yep.
them. They, like
Yeah.
everything comes from them.
Yeah.
So like, how do you survive as a
Right.
small business even?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
To get payment in eggs and apples?
Yeah, maybe become a contract killer.
I mean, that's really the only solution to this.
I believe so.
The only solution is become a contract killer.
Yes.
That's the only way you're going to survive the dystopian future. So
and get chickens.
learn now.
Yes.
And get chickens.
Yes.
Obviously. That's all the time we got for this show. Become a contract killer. That is the moral of this story. Make sure you check us out all over the social medias. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for the time being at Break the Bell Pod. You can check out our website, breakthebellpod.com. Get access to all our stuff that we do. There will not be a morning show this week because I have other engagements, I guess. So no Two Scoops morning show with Dan and Craig because Craig will not be here, and Dan is a bitch anyway, so he won't be here. Final thoughts before we get out of here. I never hit record on my damn thing. It's just, I'm looking at it, but nothing's recording.
Interesting.
That is okay.
Okay.
Less work for me to do tomorrow.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Last thoughts. Yeah, like we've been saying, get self-sufficient, learn how to do stuff. You know, don't rely on technology or the government as much as possible. Stick to the local shit.
Derek says, do I need a Neuralink chip to use the sun? Derek, you're opening so many doors. Like, we're trying to get out of here. We're already over our time. We're trying to get out of here.
That'll have to be the next show.
Damn it. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
Fed boy freaking Elon Musk did create PayPal in the first place, which probably used a lot of technology for the FedNow
He created
shit.
the backbone for this whole shit.
Yes. So,
Fuck.
Yep. We got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what you said, but
I don't either.
Oh yeah, it's
It wasn't
self-sustaining, all that.
Yes,
shit,
the same thing as we always say.
Yeah,
every
we've been
show.
telling you for 3 years, be self-sustaining.
Yeah.
Do figure it out on your own. Stop
Yeah.
relying on this freaking system. You
Yes.
are, and I am, and you are contributing to this madness.
Yes.
By being reliant on this system. Break out of this freaking system because it is going down quick, guys.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know where to find us. We're all over the social medias. Leave a chat in the comment section. That's always open. Jump into Twitter, talk shit with us, or the Facebook forum, which is the Breaking the Bell forum. Yeah, come hang out with us. If you are listening to in the future, come join us for a live show.
It's fun.
Mondays, which this summer it's going to start jumping around because of baseball, my kids' baseball and stuff.
Yeah.
So I will announce that ahead of time. But tentatively, it's Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us because it's fun. And join us next week because it'll be another one. Another shit show, another fun show.
It's speeding up. I feel like as things get closer to Joe Biden's
Death?
end of his his death, yes, I feel like things are going to pick up more.
Oh, absolutely. Have a great rest of your week. Whatever's left of it as you listen, we will catch you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.